Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the TradingPub.com daily report. We appreciate everybody taking the time to tune in this morning. And real quick before we get started, give you a second to read through this quick risk disclaimer and just letting you know that there is risk involved in trading. And again, we're not making any kind of recommendation. The big news in the market today is that MF Global is on the verge of bankruptcy. They've actually declared bankruptcy this morning. That's the news out, which has a lot of futures traders scrambling because they're clearing firms or their brokers that clear at MF are unable to process trades. So CME stopped trading for MF Global. So again, it's extremely important to understand that and realize, they had a deal that everybody thought would go through with Interactive Brokers that's mentioned here in this article. But again, it's definitely an important thing to realize that we're still in that volatile marketplace where some of these firms could go under. And because of that, it's always important to understand the firm that you're trading with and how their financials stack up. So again, that was one big news item. The other big news item is that Japan came in and intervened in the yen again, and we'll take a look at the yen in a second. But again, saw some government intervention. And you have to remember with Japan, because they're an export economy, if the yen gets higher and higher, the higher that it gets on some of these large moves, the government will step in and sell the yen, so it can make it tough for currency traders in the yen. So we'll take a look at that chart in a second. But again, that kind of leads into the TradingPub rule of the day, which is always have a backup account. It's very important. You never know whether your broker is going to go down for software or some other reason, but it's always important to have a backup account where you can go and either hedge a position or offset a position in the event that you have either platform failure or something like this that hopefully won't happen, but with the MF Global bankruptcy. So again, extremely important to understand there. Now let's go take a look at the charts. And the first thing we'll look at is going to be the S&P, and then we're also going to pull up the yen. So give me a second to load that. Alright, looking at the S&P, you see from the overnight session we actually traded down. Here's a 30-minute chart. You saw we traded down throughout the Globex session. We've got a lot of support in the 62 area. So 62 and then 1256 to the downside are going to be big support numbers. As far as the upside goes, you see we're kind of consolidating here. 1268 to 1269 is going to be a big area to watch. Above that, the 1275 area, and then back to 1282 as far as resistance goes. Alright, so again, extremely important to watch. If you look at the yen, you'll notice here that we had a big drop off from Friday. So again, here's the Friday close, and then here we are on Sunday after the intervention. So you saw a huge decline here as the Japanese government stepped in. We tend, just kind of a rule of thumb that we have is when you have a lot of government intervention in a market to try to stay on the sidelines. It can be very tough to try to trade against that. So what you've got going on now, you had the huge gap down. You had a huge trade down to this area, and you're starting to see a little bounce off that level. But again, when you start fighting a government, it can be very tough to trade because it's a smaller or retail active retail trader. You get into a trade, you put your stop in. Well, if the government comes in and acts, you're going to see a couple % move right off the bat. So it's very hard to stick with the trade and actually ride it out. So that's kind of what we're looking at. We'll probably stay away from the yen for quite some time. And then one last thing to take a look at, the gold markets, which have had a big run, and we pointed out last week about how they were starting to break out of their consolidation higher along with silver, and also showed you a couple good articles that were mentioning that. But you saw that gold did break out. We still think the 1780 area, 1770 to 1780 area that you see up here is a pretty good target area to watch as far as resistance goes. We don't see a whole lot of resistance until we get back to that 1770 to 1780 area. So again, that's the next big resistance area that we're watching on gold. We've got a lot of news out this week with central banks reporting. We've got Australia news on their cash rate tonight, and then the FOMC meeting later this week. So again, should be very interesting. I'd like to wish all of you traders a happy Halloween, and look forward to seeing you tomorrow at the Daily Report. Our next TradingPub event will be November the 3rd at 4:30 Eastern Time. We're going to focus on short-term strategies and using risk management when you're trading on a short-term time basis. You can register for that event at TradingPub.com.